All right, guys. Real quick introduction here. So last night I had a horrible night with Wi-Fi. Um, this video right here is going to go on YouTube eventually. This is going to be a prison story, and I don't know. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to put the interview that I just done with Hillbilly on YouTube or not. The sound quality was horrible. So Hillbilly, for those of you that don't know, he's the guy that was my cellie when I was in Lompoc. He's the guy, we got a kite to whack each other. He's the guy, where they had tried to move me cells and we put bandanas on. We used mattresses as shields and we went at it with the cops. Good guy, guy that I was definitely scared of because he's a scary guy. For those of you that saw the interview, he's a big, burly guy and I'm just a little guy, a little fella. Oh God, what's going on up there? Sounds like Nico's upset about something. But, he had gotten out 2 weeks ago unexpectedly. I didn't know he was going to come out. He just did 7 years. And he contacted me and I said, hey man, you got to come on my YouTube stuff. There's people that'll definitely be interested in stuff you have to say. And I'd forgotten, but he was at Lompoc for years before I was. And he got really close with Big Meech. So he gave information I thought was interesting about Meech, things that I hadn't heard yet. And I know that people on YouTube would appreciate it, but the Wi-Fi issues that I was having last night were like at an all-time bad. That's why I don't do lives anymore. Believe me, I like doing lives. I mean, I get money from doing them. I get donations. I just simply can't facilitate them from where I'm at. And I've done everything you can possibly think of. I've got a new router, gotten a new modem, upgraded the MPBS. It just doesn't, I don't know why the Wi-Fi is so shitty, where I'm at, but my neighbors have said similar stuff. So eventually I did it where I did a Zoom call, because every time I try to record the Zoom call from my computer, it wouldn't work. Every time I tried to record a Zoom call from my phone, it would crash. So what I did is I did a Zoom call and then I recorded it with Karina's phone. Sound quality was really, really bad. But I thought it was an interesting interview. And I think that if I can get the quality to be better, it's something that we'll re-record, do longer, go into more detail. Maybe I'll ask Patreon people to ask him specific questions. He's an interesting person. And I thought he's one of the more... he's got one of the better flows of people that I've interviewed. So I definitely want to revisit him and interviewing him. And then last night I broke the box for your phone. Like lately I've been recording on my phone. The reason I've been doing that, well, first of all, I broke my headphones. Secondly, I lost the cord for my microphone. And then I got a new iPhone, I think it's an 11, I don't know, it's the newest one. It's got good video quality, it's got good sound. So I just started recording on my phone, but I broke the last box that we had. And it was like the middle of the night. I couldn't get a new cord. I went to 7-Eleven to try to get a new cord. They didn't have any left. They usually have them. Then I drove around for a little bit and I was just like, all right. And I went home. Because I can't record on my computer anymore because my Wi-Fi is so bad when I record with Zoom because it automatically compresses it. You have to be on a meeting by yourself. Why am I going into all these excuses? Who gives a shit? Just tell a fucking story, right? All right. Here we go. So there was a point to what I was saying. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Sinister has a gallery now. They have Wi-Fi there. And what I think I'm going to do, what I was saying is I wanted to start going to his place to do content. That'll be better for everybody involved because, I have professional writer friends that have an office, right? They live at home, they go work at their office, and the reason they do that is because when they leave their home and go to their office, they actually get shit done. And I think for me, recording content, I think that would be a better situation for me. To actually leave here with the sole purpose of getting stuff done. I just went on a road trip with Nick to write a screenplay, and it was very effective because we went with the purpose of writing. And I think that I can emulate that on a daily basis by going to Sinister's recording. That way I can do lives. I can have guests on. There's so many people that I could have on that I think you guys would want to see. And I think that that's probably what I'll start doing, you know. But I mean, Sinister always tries to kiss me. It's weird. I mean, he plays like Panic at the Disco. It's like, this shit's rad, let's kiss. I'm like, oh my god, you're so good at painting. Okay. All right, let's tell the story. All right. Oh yeah. Last thing. And my friend, remember my friend that wouldn't eat pussy? His chick left him. I don't know. Mystery of the universe. I wonder why that happened, buddy. Premature ejaculation. You got to at least go down on a girl. Come on. You can't just expect to have a bump dick and then not go down on a girl. What are you doing? Panic at the Disco type stuff. I don't know. I never know what they're doing up there. It really sounds like there's something crazy. You'll hear like furniture fucking break, and then you'll hear Nico scream, and then Karina starts barking like a dog at Nico. I think he understands better. Okay, we're going back into the story. All right, so I'm at Centinella. Been tweaking for a couple days. My celly's getting on my nerves, and I want to emphasize that I try to look for good qualities in people. You know, I mean, especially when you live with someone in a bathroom, pretty much, because that's pretty much like if you haven't done time in prison, you've never been in a 2-man cell. I guess some county jails have that as well. You don't realize that that's like a special skill to be able to get along with somebody. And you're living in a bathroom. That's what it is. Just go in your bathroom, close the door, jerk off with Crisco cooking oil. Think about girls. And that's what being in jail is like, or prison. Now imagine living with someone and having to beat off with Crisco while you're living with someone. That is the 2-man cell experience. And when you live with another person, you have to, it takes a certain kind of personality to be able to live with anyone. I'm a pretty easygoing person, but I guess I'm probably more of the annoying person to live with in prison than what's the flip side of that? I'm probably worse to live with than people that I live with, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm annoying to live. I'm messy. I don't go sit on the toilet and fart on it. I just fart whenever, and then I laugh. I'm really immature like that, and people don't usually like that. And that's not true. I mean, it just depends on who I'm living with, you know. And that's the thing. When you live with someone, what I found, and what's a good skill about prison that I've learned, that's helped me with relationships that I've been in, is really communication. Remember Sharky told me that? He's like, communication. He's like tickling my elbow. The next day he's like slitting Southsiders' throats, like making Sirenia art out of their decapitated heads. Hey, dog, look at this. This fucking head I collected looks like a fucking clown, dog. It's fucking funny. And they're like, yeah. I'll have store for you next week. Communication. It was very scary. Very foreboding when he said that. And sometimes I wouldn't have the money. And, you know, I learned my lessons from that. You know, how many nights are there that I'd gone to sleep and literally watched the sun come up because I'm so scared because I don't know what I'm going to do because my money didn't hit. And then sometimes it would hit in the morning. But throughout the years, I learned how to communicate better. And people really like that. And that's applicable anywhere outside of prison. Communication with the cellie means when they come move in with you, you have a talk with them. You're like, hey, I jerk off, I fart, I'm messy, I'm extroverted. So if I'm having problems with my girlfriend that's on the street right now, you're going to hear about it. I snore if I'm really tired, but not too much. And that's about it. You know, and then they'll tell you all the things that are wrong with them. I can only get off when I stick my finger up my ass. I'm hustling an overweight girl for money. Sometimes when I'm stoned on methamphetamine, I like to fuck guys. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I don't have a problem with any of that. Let's live together, bro. Let's do burpees too. Oh, dog, I was gonna say that too. Burpees gonna make me feel hot, fool. Yeah, so I get it. I've done time. I'm cool. So, this is the point. You tell somebody what your shortcomings are. You also tell them what your qualities are. I guess I forget to mention that. I go to store. I do drugs. When I do drugs, I share my drugs. You know, there are good qualities about me. It's not all bad. But then there's certain qualities about somebody that they don't present to you. Maybe they don't even realize that, you know, it's something that they do that's wrong. Like I hate pacers. Fuck, I can't stand pace. I hate people that pace in an 8x10 cell, and I hate people that fucking whistle. I hate whistling. About a week ago, Karina started whistling. You know, she was doing some like Snow White whistle while you work tune or some shit. Because, you know, we watch Disney movies with Nico, and I think they probably get stuck in her head. Started whistling, and I had like a full-blown manic freak out. I was like, it was like ripping lamps off the wall, like snatching the, I was like, no whistling, and I was like swinging the lamp around like a lasso, and Karina was like, damn, you could have just told me and that would have sufficed. You don't have to fucking be a weirdo about it. But it's like triggering, because whistling is so annoying when you're in prison. The more time that you do, the more you're going to get stuck in your ways. The reason I'm saying all of this is because the dude that I was living with, this guy Chubbs, that seemed to have testified on a murder, which, you know, I mean, the way he presented it to me is that he was testifying to provide an alibi, you know, which in his eyes, he was like some knight in shining armor. You know, he was like a good guy. Now, is that really what happened, or did he snitch on someone? I don't know. He was SNY. And at that point, I didn't really care who was SNY or who wasn't. It didn't matter to me. Like, that shit just stopped being important. As soon as a child entered the world, the political stuff just kind of like went right here, and like going home to my family went up here. Now, that doesn't mean that I was willing to tell on someone. Doesn't mean that I was willing to fuck someone else's life over. What it meant was I was willing to put blinders on, do what I had to do to go home. And that's it. This guy was SNY from the jump, right? Like, he was PC when he started his term. That, as I would learn, as I went, you know, as I was around PC and SNY people more, that doesn't always mean that they're a bad person. That doesn't mean that they're on that side for the wrong reason. You know, a lot of times people go there, as we've talked about, over bad calls. But the fact that he had testified, from all the time that I've done, I'd had this preconceived notion about going to court, saying anything like that, you know, to help your friend. Would I do that? If Jeff was in trouble because they thought he murdered someone, would I go to court and say that I was with him even if I wasn't? Of course. So I had to like give the guy the benefit of the doubt, right? But what really started weirding me out is when we did meth together, because my wheels started turning. You know, and he, you know, at first he presented to me that he had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of bud that he had buried. It sounded like a plot to a fucking Weeds episode or something. It was ridiculous. He drew me a treasure map. But when you're on crystal meth, you get really optimistic. You're like, yeah, I'm not even going to work again. I'm just going to go, you know, dig up buried bud and sell it and put the money into mutual funds. Never have to work a day again in my life. But then you come down and you realize how silly that sounds. And that's exactly what happened. And I stayed up all night listening to this guy, listening to him spout off these exaggerations and inconsistencies. And I was all ears. I was like, oh, well, you know, because when you're high, you don't care. You know, you'll give someone the benefit of the doubt if you think that it's going to benefit you. And that's speed in a nutshell. Besides all the perverted and paranoid stuff, there's also that thing where you want to believe that good fortune is on the other side of that door. That's why lotto scratcher tickets are so popular with tweakers. You ever go to a 7-Eleven at like 3 in the morning and you see some essay, like in a wife beater in his plaid shorts, and he has like a stack of scratchers. And you always know the professional lotto scratcher people when they don't even play the game. They just scratch off the little barcode on the bottom and they go feed it to the machine. It's like, it's weirdo shit. I don't know. I see it all the time. So, but that's a symptom of meth. That false promise, you know? That little surge of optimism outside of the monotony of your normal life. And as I came down, all of these things that I didn't like about him, the fact that he paced, the fact that I had read that letter from the private investigator's boss, the attorney, saying that they were starting to file a restraining order against this guy, didn't surprise me. He looked like the composite sketch of a rapist. You know the type. The guy that you'll see like in the beanie with the matted hair. Like, have you seen this rapist? And you're like, oh my God, I lived with that guy at Centinella. He said he was PC because I don't think he ever told me why he was PC. I forget. He had like, I don't know, people would tell me some outlandish stories. Yeah, fool. I kind of know a few secrets about Roswell. The government thought it would probably be safer for me if I was PC. You're like, dude, aren't you from Calabasas? It's not anywhere near Roswell. Oh. The internet, my boy. The internet. And you're like, oh, all right. You know, because nobody wants to admit that they're PC because they couldn't hang, you know? No one wants to admit that they cut off their dick with a disposable razor and squished it and mailed it off to someone in general population. They're like, hey, I can't have this no more, man. I just woke up today and I'm a bitch. Nobody wants to admit that shit, you know? And it's an interesting trip when you go from being purely nihilistic, committed to the lifestyle, where you just want to beat people up based on bizarre principles that are kind of molded for convenience, you know, to just waking up one day and not caring about it anymore because you have a kid and you don't care about that shit. It's interesting because your ego hurts because of it. And all of these things were looping in my mind, and I was thinking about this guy. And thinking about how much I just hated him. I was just looking at him. I was like, God, I fucking hate this rapist-looking dude. Then he told me how he got his handle, my street name, fool, by slapping a chick with his dick non-consensually. Now, I don't know where you're from. There's people that watch my stuff from all over the world, but where I come from, that's sex offender shit. You don't slap a chick in the face with your dick if she doesn't want it. There's plenty of girls that want that. Go to OnlyFans. You can do anything to those girls for money. But don't do it to fucking people that don't want it. And what I was just saying was a joke. I fully respect that as a hustle, by the way. I know plenty of girls that I'm friends with that do that. You know, get your money, girls. Get it. I'm not saying that makes you a bad person. What I'm saying, though, is that there's people that will let you do stuff where you don't have to just be cruel about it. I mean, who does that? Who slaps someone in the face with their dick? Chubbs does that. And, you know, he's probably mad because his brother Keanu is more successful than him. So I start coming down and not liking the guy. And he continues to go to chow. you know. And riots continue to pop off. Now he's coming back and he's telling me stuff about how, you know, usually the exact same stuff that I've been through. Like he'll come back from chow, and anytime that I do meth, anytime I do ecstasy, anytime I do anything that's kind of in that class where your serotonin levels are affected, I go through like a really gloomy depression. So I'm like going through this bad depression, coming down, and he's coming to me and telling me about all the violence that's happening at the chow hall, which doesn't surprise me. And you know that it's going down anyway because the siren's going off. And just really think about that for a second. Just so you like have a visual of like what my life looked like. I'm in a housing unit of a level 3 SNY prison. Now, I'm not on that yard. I'm in orientation, meaning that I'm locked in this cell watching this 3-yard go about their daily life. Guys playing dominoes, guys showering, guys walking to the shower, guys walking in the shower that have no business having their shirt off. You know, it's like some National Geographic shit. You're like, Jesus Christ, that doesn't even look like a person. Maybe like baboon bodies. Like one of their pecs is like sagging down to their stomach. They're like giving their other homeboys like high fives, and then their shit just jiggles. You're like, God damn. But this is how bored you get in there. You're just like watching the window, you know, and you're watching all this stuff. And then you start like having inside it's really weird. It's like bird watching. Like, yo, Chubbs, baboon number 4 is going to shower. He's like, oh, baboon 4, I love watching that guy shower. Like, jump off the bunk, like run up, and we're like both looking, and then we're just like giving commentary about it. It's fucking bizarre. You start losing your mind a little bit, right? And you sit in the cell all day, and there's this Asian guy that is in charge of giving you books. That's like his sole job, is to give you books. He has this binder with titles in it. Like, it's not in alphabetical order. It's the most disorganized list of books I've ever seen in my life. There's like hundreds upon hundreds of them. And this guy works in the library, and his job is to go around for the guys that are slammed down in their cell like me, because we're essentially in the hole. They let you go twice a day for breakfast and at dinner. And this guy is supposed to come at least once a week. Give you this binder. I think you could pick out 2 books at a time, you know, and you basically like fill out a library slip. After you look at this binder, you give it to him. And then at some random time, he comes and he gives you these books. And you live for stuff like that because it's your only source of entertainment, you know. And we would just like, I mean, it was really like pathetic, you know. We'd be looking outside the window and we'd be like, dude, where's the Asian library guy? We'd never see him. And then sometimes we would see him, we'd like knock on the door and be like, hey, library guy. And he'd just like look at us with like big eyes and he'd just run away because he knew he was supposed to be getting his books, but this motherfucker would slack and he wouldn't do it. And we were like so dependent on him doing that. Now, your family could send you books. My dad started sending me books, but when you have nothing to do all day, you go through this stuff, you know, you could read a book in a day, 2 days. And then what do? Then you're done. There were a lot of times that I'd read books twice in a row. Now, state prison has something called, they have packages that you can get. You can get a food package and you can get a special electronics package. And in the food package, you can also get clothing. So they have these huge, big catalogs, these thick catalogs. They have like everything you can think of, you know, like flavors of Slim Jims you've never even heard of. Like pina colada flavored Slim Jims. You're like, dude, that sounds so dank. I mean, you get so hungry in there and this is seriously like, you guys are like, why are you giving me all these like boring, monotonous details? I mean, maybe just to illustrate how fucking bored we were in there. We'd get so hungry, we'd get so bored that we would just look through the food catalog and we'd circle stuff that we thought looked good. Not stuff that we ever intended on buying. Just like, damn, it'd be dope to have this kind of soup, dude. And then like, I'd like look at it and I like show myself and be like, it looks so good. And usually the only like food that we had in our cell besides like the finite amount of commissary items was like slices of bread that Chubbs would bring back for chow. And I'd be like, dude, can I have a slice of bread? He'd be like, I don't know, man. I think we should wait. He's like, why don't we eat half of it now? So we cut the bread in half, and then we put like flavoring, like, you know, flavoring packets from Top Ramen. Like we put it on the bread. So we'd like kind of like put a little bit of water from the sink on it, get it like moist. And then we'd sprinkle a little bit of like Top Ramen flavoring seasoning on it. You just eat that. It's disgusting, you know, but like at the time it's good, you know, because you don't really have anything. And it would take so much willpower not to eat the commissary items that we had. But like I knew that I was going to run out eventually. I knew that that the dude that I was living with was a total creep. I mean, I knew, you know, he was just, the guy had a restraining order getting filed against him of some girl that he explicitly went into detail about how she loved him. Like, dude, she loved me. She made eye contact with me like 17 times. I'll tell you the dates. August 7th, 2015. Eye contact for the first time. September 9th, 2017. Eye contact, and she tugged on her hair and looked at me after she tugged on her hair, leading me to believe that she liked me. And like she'd be telling me shit like this, and I'm just like, dude, I can't. I'm not on meth. I just don't want to talk to you anymore. You know, with these catalogs, you would send them to your families. So we spent a lot of time like making wish lists. He even filled out a wish list, and he was like, I'm going to send this to my grandparents. They'll probably send me something. And I'm like, all right. And so I made one and I sent it to my family. I don't remember what I'd put on there, but I don't think that I even got food. I think that it was hygiene stuff. That's the thing. You know, I'm a dirtbag. I'm not going to fucking argue with that. I'm a scumbag. I'm a dirty guy. I'm a messy guy. I'm not the most hygienic person. My balls usually stink. Sometimes I smell my own balls. Karina's like, that's so fucking gross that you do that. Other guys don't do that. I'm like, I guarantee you, if you ask other guys, they do that. I just admit it. Why do you smell your own balls? I'm like, I don't know. Why not? Why do we do half the things that we do? Something I'm into, okay? Leave me alone. So I sent Karina, you know, this package. And like I said, I chose mostly hygiene stuff. Because for me, although I like eating when I'm in prison, and I like eating junk food, and I like eating good stuff, you know, different kinds of tunas, mackerels. I love fish stuff when I'm in prison. If you don't have hygiene stuff and you go without, and you're just, because they give you like a little teeny bar, it's called state soap. It's made by like the factories. I forget what it's called. I think it's called IPA. Yeah, it's IPA is the name of like the factories and state prisons that make stuff. And they'll give you like a little bar like this big, like once a month, and like one roll of toilet paper. So when you run out of like the kind of hygiene stuff that you can buy on commissary, you're reduced to using this little bar of soap. You have to use that for body wash, not toothpaste, but shampoo. They don't give you any shampoo. And when you don't have like just basic hygiene stuff like deodorant, when you don't have like a stick of Old Spice, right? And you're like going without deodorant, and you start smelling like chronic from the 70s, and you know, you're having to use like tooth powder, not even toothpaste, powder, shit they'd use in like the 1800s, shit like Benjamin Franklin was fucking brushing his teeth with. You just start to feel grimy. And there's nothing better than feeling like that and then getting a package with hygiene stuff. Just having some good like Dial soap. Shitty soap. And you can also get body wash off there, but like, you know, I would go with the economic choice. Get Irish Spring or Dial or maybe Dove for special occasion. You know, it's like New Year's. I'm like, I'm going to wash my ass with Dove tonight. You know, and that's like about the best thing I have going. This is just how it is in there. You're going crazy. Now, I'd asked Karina for hygiene stuff because I'd rather have hygiene shit than eat a bunch of fat boy shit when I'm in prison. You know, hygiene first. I know it's probably hard to believe with someone like me, but I'd rather have hygiene stuff first. And that's just kind of like the solid thing to do anyway. You always know that you're dealing with like some scumbag in jail when, like, you know, their baby mama sends them fucking $18 or something. And they get all junk food, no hygiene. You're like, oh, you're just not going to brush your teeth? Nah, dog, I'm getting bail soon, fool. In like a week or two, I'm going to get bail. So you're not going to brush your teeth for 2 weeks? Nah, fool. I'm going to eat honey buns, fool. I'm fucking partying. And then they eat it in like one day. And now they're just overweight with shitty breath. Like, your plan sucked. I'm not going to do that. I'd rather starve and at least smell okay. It's not even about the smell. It's more about just how it feels. You know, there's nothing better than having a Dove scrubbed asshole. Seriously. If you don't believe me, go to your local pharmacy or grocery store, buy a bar of Dove and go scrub your asshole tonight. You're like, damn, that guy was right. This is way better than eating. You know, I'm not even going to eat anymore. I'm just going to scrub my ass with Dove. It's man, I don't even get hungry now. So I'd asked Karina for all this hygiene stuff, you know, and she ended up, I think her and my dad both put money in to got me like the biggest package you could get. And I wasn't even expecting it. You know, you're just so bored in the hole that you're making these like package wish lists. And then one day they called me for package. They're like, Leone, come get your package. Now, remember, I wasn't leaving my cell. I had gone completely bitch at this point. I was like a bitch ghost. You know, I tried that one time. I got maced. I ended up getting the napkin with the little dominoes of meth. But I wouldn't leave the cell past that point. They also hadn't called me for a phone call. I mean, you're supposed to get a phone call like once a week, couple times a week. They didn't give me one. You know, they just were like, my new, there's a bullet. I usually put cocaine in here, but I've been putting snuff. I'm trying to quit smoking. So I got this stuff. Comes in this little package. You may have seen me snort a line of it on Instagram, and that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to do like little bumps, like you would with meth or something. And so I use this little bullet. It fills up this chamber, although I don't know why it's not working right now. But instead of like having to interrupt the video with me going outside and smoking, now I'm interrupting the video by doing a little bump of snuff. But I think I'm out or something. I don't know what's going on. Hold on, the story is about to pick up. I just had to get through the daily life. You know, I don't need a cigarette. Really weird that you can snort tobacco. I think I just do it so I can do it in front of a cop. Remember we talked about doing that? I think I'm going to do it and like film it. I don't know though. Right now people are getting shot. I don't know. They'll probably shoot me. Even though I'm not a minority. They'll be like, fuck that fool. You guy's been to prison, got a bunch of cheap ass tattoos. Just shoot me. Nobody would even care either. That's not true. Alright, so I end up getting this package, you know, and I'm spooked to go outside because I think that every time I leave my cell, I'm going to get beat up. And that's probably the reality of it. Every time I leave my cell in this situation, while I was in orientation at Centinella, there's a good chance that I'm going to get beat up or stabbed or worse. Not raped, killed. I don't know. When the dominoes hit, maybe raped. Hey, let's knock that fool off and suck his dick, fool. That fool's fucking, he's kind of chubby, but I want to suck his dick. Hey, come on, criminal. We're not doing that no more, fool. My cousin's here right here. I don't want him to tell my baby mama that I was knocking fools out and sucking their dicks, especially if they were Mexican, fool. You can't suck off other races. You hear like the snuff drip go down while I'm trying to do my Sereno accent and it makes me sound Polish or some shit. So I end up going outside. I'm all spooked out. Remember, I've been up for like a few days. I was like crashing. I was still like within the aftermath of the gloom of being high on meth, especially when you haven't been high for a long time. I'm like looking both ways. And I remember going up to the cop that was giving out the packages. He just gave me this fat package. It had all this hygiene stuff in it, but you know what else it had? It had an electronic package. My girl had sent me a CD player that had AM FM radio on it. She sent me Kendrick Lamar Damn, Sublime Self-Titled, and Stone Temple Pilots Core. Why those 3 albums? I have no idea. I know why the Kendrick Lamar, because that was our album when we first started dating. But the Sublime and the Stone Temple Pilots, although I like both of those albums very much, no idea why she sent me those. But I was beyond happy. Just imagine that. You're in this bleak-ass, quiet cell. You've been beating off with some composite sketch rapist guy that has restraining orders getting filed against him. And now you have music. You can listen to music and you can just not have to be in the reality of fucking prison where you might get killed every day. Plus I had all this like good food in there. There was like all sorts of shit. There was like junk food and but it was mostly hygiene. And the thing I was most excited about was the CD player, because it also had AM FM radio. So I could listen to the news, I could listen to FM radio, and I could listen to these 3 CDs over and over and over again. And the best of all, I didn't have to listen to this motherfucker talk. I went in the cell, and this created one of the first ongoing issues of our celly relationship. He wanted to listen to music. But I let him, like once. And then I remember sitting there in silence and just watching this guy, like, you know, listening to Stone Temple Pilots and thinking about rape or whatever he was doing. I was like, you know what? Give me that shit. I snatched it away from him. I was like, you don't get this anymore. I acted like a 5-year-old. I was like, I'm going to listen to this and you don't get to. And I just like sat there. And it created like a lot of tension between us. So he keeps going to chow. He keeps coming back with like blood splattered on him. He's like, another riot went down. I was like, what? I can't hear you. I'm like rocking out to my CD player. And, Seth Ferrante ended up sending me this huge box of books while I was in jail, or in prison. And it was like books from, I think his publisher, I don't know, it's like advanced reader copies, you know, that they give the press. It might have been because he's a journalist. I don't know. But that was really cool because it was just this huge stack of really good books that hadn't come out yet. One of them was... one book that I really liked that he had sent me was called Operation Devil Horns, which is about MS-13. I didn't know much about those guys. I'd done time with them, but I didn't know like just how monstrous those guys were. They're horrible fucking people. I hate MS-13 people. And if you read about how they are in El Salvador and like all the atrocious stuff that they've been doing, you'll hate them just as much as me. And then they're the kind of guys in prison that are getting beads put in their dicks. Have I ever talked about that? There's this phenomenon in prison where people will get, they cut off like the top of the chess piece of like a pawn, like a pearl, right? They'll get a little razor blade and put it on the end of a toothbrush. They'll cut their dick open, or not their own dick. Well, sometimes they're really hardcore. But it's like a body mutilation thing. What they do is they get this little pearl, this big. They cut a slit in someone's dick. Yes, they hold someone's dick. They're like, hey man, let me hold that. They're like fucking cupping the balls. Like, it's gotta be hard. Oh, alright. I'm gonna cut it open. They cut it and then they put the pearl inside the dick. So now your dick has this like deformity. This little like ball on it. Hey fool, when I was in prison I got a ball on my dick, fool. I'm fucking hard, dog. And I guess in theory, what it's supposed to do is hit the woman's G-spot. The little pearl is what I'm saying. Not the little piece of dick or whatever it is. The little pearl is supposed to hit the woman's G-spot when they're fucking. I'm like, but wait a second, man. I was never good at algebra, but if you're not fucking women to begin with, you get a pearl put in your dick. One pearl plus no girl doesn't equal a girl. You're still not going to fuck any girls. And furthermore, I don't know about you. Well, I mean, I'm the kind of guy that women, I guess, just assume that I have diseases. But if I whip my little dick out and there's a big-ass deformity in the middle, probably pretty hard to talk that into going into a woman's mouth. Especially when you're someone like me and your dick stinks anyway. You know, usually they're like, it stinks, but he's kind of funny. Fuck it, I'll suck it. But he's kind of funny. Ew, oh my god, he has some sort of disease. I knew it. Barbara was right. He's fucking disgusting. You're gross. Ew. And they like unfriend you on Facebook. And you're like, what do I do? And then you hear about it like later, and they're like, yeah, Barbara said that you have a deformity in your dick and that it stinks. I'm like, the deformity in my dick stinks or just my dick stinks? They're like, you're both. You're gross. Fuck you. Block. Blah. Report your account. You're like, what the fuck? So, now I'm listening to music. Everything's all good, right? I'm not going to Chow either. Like, every time this guy goes to Chow, he's coming back. Like, riots are going on, like, every day, and I'm just, like, sitting in my cell listening to Kendrick Lamar, being like, man, streets of Compton are oppressed, man. And I just see Chubbs talking. I'm like, what? I can't hear you. And I just sit in my bed. So one day, and every time a new bus comes, right, he's going to Chow because he doesn't have any commissary. He does get a package at one point, and that was cool because he did share with me, right? And he had started, remember we talked about, I think in the last video, see, sometimes I forget the chronology. He had started making wine. And this is very important. So he started making wine because, well, he really didn't have any commissary. His grandparents did send him a package once. And that was cool because he did share with me. I mean, I shared with him as well, you know? I mean, I'd been sharing with him. You don't have to like somebody to break bread with them when you're in jail. I mean, I'm not going to fucking make meals and eat in front of people, even if I don't like them. It's not, and he did have some good qualities. He wasn't all bad. It was just, I thought he was probably a rapist, you know? And it's like, not the kind of guy that I'm going to hang out with when I get out of prison. And if he tries to rape me, I'll kill him. And then listen to my Kendrick Lamar after. So he starts making wine, and I hadn't done a lot of state time, but I'd done fed time, and I knew that one of the things that they really trip on is alcohol. They trip on that. I think, now I'm not going to side with guards, you know, because they've treated me very, very badly throughout my time doing time. But I will say this. One thing that I understand why they're so strict on would be alcohol. Alcohol makes people ridiculous. You know, my friend Jeff is the nicest, most spiritual guy ever. He like levitates and sits Indian style. Give that guy 2 drinks, he's fucking stabbing people with butcher knives at bars. Yeah, he can't handle alcohol. And there's a lot of people like that. You know, you'll see a lot of crazy shit happen in jail because people get drunk. A lot of people can't handle their alcohol. Me, I'm pretty much the same when I drink. But a lot of people, it changes and it creates a lot of violence. So I can understand why they're so hard on it. You know, a lot of guards get assaulted when inmates are drunk. I've seen it happen. So it happened at MDCLA. A fucking Pisces cracked a cop in the face when he was just trying to get everybody locked down for lights out or whatever. And he told me that if we got caught, he was going to take the blame. And I asked him, I said, well, how much time do you get added onto your sentence if you get caught making alcohol? And he said, 6 months. Calling Karina and telling her that I wasn't going to be able to be a father for another 6 months because we were fermenting fucking apples in our cells so that we could get buzzed for one day would not have gone over well with her, you know? And that would have just been me being a selfish father. So I didn't ever make alcohol, even though I knew how to. And he assured me that he would take the blame. Alcohol, making Pruno, it starts stinking.